from despair to restoration. The complete story of Job, the man who lost everything and was restored by God. The story of Job is found in the book of Job in the Hebrew Bible and the Old Testament of the Christian Bible. Job is portrayed as a wealthy and righteous man who faces severe trials and tribulations. The narrative begins by introducing Job as a man who is blameless, upright, and prosperous, living in the land of Uz. Job is described as having a large family, significant wealth, and a deep devotion to God. Satan challenges Job's loyalty to God, suggesting that he is only faithful because of his prosperity and good fortune. To test Job's faith, God permits Satan to take away Job's wealth, kill his children, and afflict him with painful sores. Despite these devastating losses and physical suffering, Job refuses to curse God. Instead, he mourns and questions the reasons for his suffering. Throughout the story, Job engages in dialogues with his friends, who offer various explanations for his suffering, suggesting that it is a result of his sin. However, Job maintains his innocence and wrestles with the apparent injustice of his situation. In the end, God responds to Job's inquiries, revealing the limits of human understanding and emphasizing his sovereign power. God restores Job's fortunes, doubling his wealth and blessing him with new children. The story of Job serves as a profound exploration of the nature of faith, suffering, and the mystery of God's ways. It highlights the importance of trust and devotion to God even in the midst of life's greatest challenges. In this video, we will tell you the complete story of Job, the man who lost everything and whom God eventually restored. Whatever your situation or the trials you are going through in your life, you may recognize yourself in the story of Job, and you will understand that even during the storm, God is always with us. Let's hear Job's story now. But before that, if you haven't done it yet, make sure to subscribe to never miss our next videos. In the ancient land of Uz, a region steeped in opulence and prosperity, lived a man named Job. His existence was a testament to virtue and affluence, his reputation echoing through the corridors of the renowned city. The narrative unfolds against the backdrop of this prosperous landscape, setting the stage for a profound exploration of faith, suffering, and the enigmatic ways of the divine. The introductory chapter of Job invites us into a celestial assembly, a gathering beyond mortal comprehension. Among the divine entities, referred to as the sons of God, Satan stands, a figure whose presence signifies a cosmic challenge. The divine assembly, a heavenly congress where celestial beings present themselves before the Almighty, becomes the platform for a divine drama that will test the very essence of human faith. God, in his omniscience, singles out Job for special recognition. A paragon of righteousness and integrity, Job becomes the subject of divine commendation. In this celestial accolade, God extols Job's virtuous character, a recognition that resonates through the heavenly realms. Job's unwavering commitment to righteousness sets the stage for a cosmic test, one that will not only scrutinize the depths of Job's faith, but also unravel the intricate relationship between divine providence and human suffering. It is at this juncture that Satan, the adversary, interjects with a challenge that reverberates through the celestial spheres. Casting doubt upon the authenticity of Job's loyalty, Satan posits that Job's faithfulness is merely a reflection of the bountiful blessings and protective shield that enfold him. In essence, Satan contends that Job's devotion is contingent upon the uninterrupted flow of prosperity into his life. In response to this cosmic challenge, God, in his divine sovereignty, permits a test of unparalleled magnitude. Granting Satan permission to afflict Job, God imposes a crucial restriction: Job's life is spared. The cosmic stage is now set for a drama that will unfold on the earthly plane, testing the limits of human endurance, the resilience of faith, and the intricate interplay between divine decree and human suffering. The divine sanction, a paradoxical fusion of divine approval and cosmic trial, propels Job into a realm of profound affliction. Little does Job know that his steadfastness will be tested in the crucible of unimaginable tribulations. The celestial assembly's decision marks the commencement of a narrative journey that will see Job grappling with the very essence of his existence, questioning the nature of divine justice, and ultimately emerging as an enduring symbol of unwavering faith in the face of inexplicable adversity. Job's suffering. In the wake of the divine assembly's cosmic decision, the tranquility of Job's life in the prosperous land of Uz is shattered by a relentless series of calamities that cascade upon him like a relentless storm. The harmonious symphony of his existence abruptly transforms into a discordant melody of suffering, challenging the very core of his faith and resilience. The first blow descends with a malevolence that echoes through the arid plains of Uz. Raiders descend upon Job's estate, a formidable force intent on plundering his vast herds of livestock. The very lifeblood of Job's prosperity is seized, leaving his once thriving flocks decimated and his fortune in ruins. The suddenness and ferocity of this assault on his material wealth strike a dissonant chord, heralding the onset of a series of tribulations that will test the limits of Job's endurance. As if the plundering of his livestock were not enough, the fates unleash the relentless tongues of flames upon Job's once bountiful sheep. The consuming fire transforms his pastures into a fiery inferno, reducing his remaining herds to smoldering remnants. The acrid scent of scorched earth and the anguished cries of animals in torment paint a grim tableau of destruction, leaving Job to witness the annihilation of his livelihood. The tempest of suffering, however, is far from subsiding. A great wind, fierce in its malevolence, descends upon the house where Job's children are gathered for a feast. With an ominous howl, the wind tears through the structure, reducing it to a heap of rubble. In an instant, the joyous celebration turns into a scene of unimaginable tragedy as the walls crumble and the roof collapses, claiming the lives of Job's sons and daughters. The weight of these successive calamities bears down upon Job with a force that threatens to extinguish the very flame of his spirit. Yet, in the midst of this maelstrom of affliction, Job's response is a testament to the depth of his character and the unwavering nature of his faith. Rather than succumbing to despair or cursing the heavens, Job is seized by profound grief. He rends his garments, a symbolic gesture of mourning and despair, and shaves his head, an act denoting the stripping away of outward symbols of prosperity and status. In an act of poignant humility, Job falls to the ground in worship, acknowledging the ephemeral nature of human existence. With a voice resonating with both sorrow and reverence, he utters words that echo through the annals of biblical literature. "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In this moment of excruciating loss and heart-wrenching grief, Job's response stands as a profound declaration of faith. Despite the torrents of suffering that have assailed him, he refrains from cursing God. Instead, he acknowledges the transient nature of material possessions and the inevitability of mortality, finding solace in an unwavering commitment to worship and reverence for the divine providence that governs the ebb and flow of human existence. Job's journey into the depths of despair becomes a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity, laying the foundation for the transformative odyssey that lies ahead. Job's affliction. The torrent of tribulations that engulf Job, with the ruthless plundering of his material wealth and the tragic loss of his children, only marked the beginning of his harrowing journey. As Job, in the solitude of his grief, grapples with the weight of his sorrows, a new chapter unfolds in the cosmic drama that will test the very limits of his physical endurance and spiritual fortitude. It is in this vulnerable moment, amidst the ashes of his desolation, that Satan, the adversary, emerges once again to cast a sinister shadow over Job's afflictions. Seemingly dissatisfied with the intensity of Job's suffering, Satan challenges the depth of his faith. The insinuation takes a diabolical turn, suggesting that Job's unwavering devotion is merely a consequence of the divine protection that shields him from physical harm. In response to this cosmic challenge, God grants Satan permission to afflict Job's very flesh, the temple of his earthly existence. However, there is a divine caveat: Job's life is not to be taken. The stage is now set for a new dimension of suffering, one that will penetrate the very core of Job's being. The onset of this physical torment is swift and merciless. Job, once a figure of robust health and prosperity, is now covered in painful sores from head to toe. His body, once a canvas of vitality, becomes a landscape of affliction. The agonizing sores, a physical manifestation of his internal torment, become a testament to the fragility of the human condition. Despite the excruciating pain that courses through his veins, Job's resolve does not waver. He does not renounce his faith or curse the heavens. Instead, he finds solace in a posture that mirrors the depths of his despair. He sits in ashes, a symbol of mourning and humility. The ashes cling to his afflicted flesh, merging with the sores that mar his once pristine skin, creating a tableau of suffering and degradation. In a gesture that underscores the profound depths of his affliction, Job employs a piece of broken pottery to scrape at his wounds. This raw and visceral act reflects not only the physical torment he endures, but also the psychological and emotional toll of his anguish. The broken pottery becomes a crude instrument, a desperate attempt to alleviate the unbearable itching and pain that accompany his maladies. As Job sits amidst the ashes, scraping his sores with a piece of pottery, he becomes a symbol of endurance in the face of unremitting suffering. His resilience in the midst of physical torment echoes the unwavering nature of his faith, a faith that transcends the boundaries of the physical and the metaphysical. The narrative intricately weaves together the threads of physical and spiritual affliction, painting a portrait of Job as a man stripped bare, both in body and soul. The cosmic challenge, initiated by Satan's insidious suggestion, becomes a crucible in which Job's faith is tested with an intensity that defies mortal comprehension. The ashes, the broken pottery, and the festering sores become symbols of a profound and agonizing metamorphosis, marking the transition from prosperity to desolation, from health to affliction, and from certainty to a turbulent sea of doubt. Job's odyssey through suffering continues, each moment etching deeper into the annals of his enduring testament of faith and endurance. Job's dialogue with his friends. The woeful tidings of Job's affliction spread like a mournful melody through the winds, reaching the ears of his three companions, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Overwhelmed by a shared concern for their suffering friend, they embark on a journey to comfort him, their hearts heavy with the weight of anticipation and empathy. Arriving at the scene of Job's desolation, the three friends are greeted not by the jovial figure they once knew, but by a visage marred by suffering and despair. The enormity of Job's affliction renders them momentarily speechless, their attempts at solace eclipsed by the magnitude of his anguish. In this poignant moment, the profound bond of friendship manifests in the silent solidarity that binds them together. For 7 days and nights, they sit with Job in a communion of grief, the passage of time marked only by the heaviness of shared sorrow. The unspoken language of empathy reigns supreme, a testament to the depth of their friendship and the understanding that some wounds transcend the need for words. However, the somber serenity is shattered when Job, unable to contain the torrent of his internal turmoil any longer, breaks the silence with a lamentation that reverberates through the desolate landscape. In a voice heavy with despair, he curses the day of his birth, a poignant expression of the profound suffering that has become the unwelcome companion of his existence. The echoes of Job's anguished words hang heavy in the air as he unfurls the depths of his despair. He questions the purpose of his existence, wondering aloud why he was brought into a world where such unrelenting suffering is his lot. The rhetorical questions that punctuate his soliloquy pierce the silence, giving voice to the existential anguish that grips his soul. In the face of Job's profound despair, his friends, well-intentioned but perhaps misguided, can no longer remain silent. Motivated by a desire to offer comfort and solace, they embark on a dialogue that will shape the trajectory of their interactions. However, their attempts to make sense of Job's suffering take on a theological perspective that links affliction with sin. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, adhering to a common theological understanding of divine justice, posit that suffering is a consequence of wrongdoing. In their earnest but flawed attempt to provide an explanation for Job's plight, they inadvertently ascribe his affliction to some undisclosed transgression. According to their worldview, divine punishment is meted out to those who have strayed from the path of righteousness. This theological interpretation, though rooted in a genuine desire to make sense of the inexplicable, becomes a source of tension in the unfolding dialogue. Job, steadfast in his protestations of innocence, vehemently rejects the notion that his suffering is a result of hidden sins. The stage is set for a philosophical and theological discourse that will unravel the intricacies of divine justice, human suffering, and the complexities of friendship in the crucible of affliction. In the dialogue that ensues, Job's friends attempt to reconcile their theological convictions with the stark reality of their friend's suffering. The tension between Job's assertions of innocence and his friend's insistence on a link between suffering and sin becomes the crucible in which the exploration of profound existential questions takes place. Little do they realize that this dialogue will become a pivotal chapter in the unfolding narrative, challenging the very foundations of their beliefs and ultimately leading to a confrontation with the mysteries of divine providence. Job's defense. As the theological discourse unfolds amidst the desolation that shrouds Job, a poignant and defiant voice emerges from the depths of his despair. Job, gripped by an unwavering conviction of his innocence, vehemently denies any wrongdoing that could warrant the torrent of suffering unleashed upon him. The philosophical battleground is set, with Job's friends clinging to a narrative that links suffering with sin, while Job stands as a defiant and solitary figure, proclaiming his blamelessness. In the face of his friends' persistent accusations, Job's response is not a meek acquiescence but a resounding proclamation of innocence. He contests their theological assertions, rejecting the notion that his suffering is a direct consequence of some hidden transgression. Instead, he vehemently argues that the divine order of justice, as understood by his friends, has been disrupted in his case. Job's eloquent defense unfolds as a powerful monologue, a symphony of words that seeks to dismantle the theological scaffolding upon which his friends have built their judgments. He challenges the simplistic equation of suffering with sin and insists that the intricate tapestry of divine justice is beyond human comprehension. His words carry the weight of a soul burdened not only by physical affliction but also by the unjust accusations that compound his misery. In his impassioned defense, Job expresses a profound longing for a direct confrontation with the Almighty. He desires a cosmic courtroom where he can present his case before God, laying bare the depths of his soul and the purity of his intentions. The longing for a hearing with the divine becomes a recurring theme in Job's lamentations, an ardent plea for an opportunity to plead his innocence directly before the Creator. Job, in his desperation for vindication, articulates a yearning for a mediator who can bridge the vast chasm between mortal and divine realms. This intermediary figure would serve as an advocate, a representative who could eloquently present Job's case before God. The desire for a mediator reflects not only Job's desperation for justice, but also a profound recognition of the inherent disparity between finite human understanding and the boundless wisdom of the divine. As the dialogues continue, the tension between Job and his friends escalates. Job remains unyielding in his protestations of innocence, and his friends, driven by their theological convictions, become increasingly insistent on Job's culpability. The discourse takes on a repetitive cadence with Job's friends, named Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, each taking their turn to implore Job to confess his sins and seek divine forgiveness. Despite the mounting pressure, Job remains steadfast in his defense. He presents a detailed account of his righteous deeds, emphasizing his commitment to justice, generosity, and compassion. The narrative becomes a courtroom drama where the stakes are not only Job's innocence but the very nature of divine justice. The dialogues, marked by a theological impasse, become a crucible in which the characters grapple with profound existential questions. The clash between Job's unwavering conviction of innocence and his friend's insistence on a cause and effect relationship between sin and suffering creates a narrative tension that reverberates through the verses. As Job's defense unfolds, the reader is invited to contemplate the complexities of divine justice, the limitations of human understanding, and the enduring nature of faith in the face of inexplicable suffering. The unfolding drama serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the relentless pursuit of truth in the midst of profound adversity. Job's defense becomes a defiant anthem that challenges the prevailing theological norms, propelling the narrative toward its climactic resolution. Elihu's speech. In the tapestry of theological debates that weave through the Book of Job, a new voice emerges, disrupting the rhythmic cadence of discourse. Elihu, a younger man who has been silently observing the impassioned exchanges between Job and his friends, steps forward to offer a distinctive perspective. His entrance onto the theological stage marks a pivotal moment in the narrative, introducing a nuanced interpretation of suffering and divine justice. Elihu, in his measured and deliberate manner, seeks to bring a fresh perspective to the ongoing debates. Unlike Job's three friends, Elihu has remained silent, choosing to observe the unfolding dialogue. His decision to speak signifies not only his desire to contribute to the discourse but also an acknowledgement that a new perspective is needed to untangle the theological complexities that enshroud the discussions. As Elihu addresses the assembly, he positions himself as a mediator of sorts, striving to bridge the gap between the seemingly irreconcilable positions of Job and his friends. Elihu's discourse is marked by a reverence for God's justice, a theme that permeates his words. He emphasizes the righteousness and fairness inherent in God's dealings with humanity, suggesting that suffering, rather than being arbitrary, can serve as a form of discipline, correction, or a warning to turn away from sin. In articulating his perspective, Elihu challenges the prevailing notion that Job's suffering is solely a consequence of hidden transgressions. Instead, he introduces the idea that suffering can be a means through which God shapes and refines individuals, a process akin to the forging of metal in the crucible of a blacksmith. Elihu's metaphorical language adds layers of nuance to the discourse, suggesting that the divine purpose behind suffering extends beyond mere retribution. While Elihu brings a novel perspective to the theological debate, he does not spare Job from criticism. In a critique that punctuates his speech, Elihu admonishes Job for justifying himself rather than God. He suggests that Job's relentless defense of his innocence may inadvertently border on challenging the divine wisdom and justice. Elihu encourages Job to shift his focus from self-vindication to a deeper reflection on the mysteries of God's ways. Elihu's critique, while directed at Job, is also a broader commentary on the human tendency to question the divine order during times of adversity. In Elihu's eyes, there is a need for humility and a recognition of the limitations of human understanding. He encourages Job to redirect his inquiries toward a contemplation of God's majesty, wisdom, and inscrutable ways rather than persistently asserting his own righteousness. As Elihu's speech unfolds, it introduces a complex layer to the theological dialogue in the Book of Job. His perspective challenges both the traditional understanding of suffering as a direct consequence of sin and Job's unwavering defense of his innocence. Elihu's emphasis on the multifaceted nature of suffering and the need for humility in the face of divine mysteries contributes a dynamic element to the unfolding narrative. The introduction of Elihu's voice serves as a transitional moment in the Book of Job, paving the way for the ultimate resolution of the theological debates. His contribution adds depth and complexity to the exploration of suffering, justice, and the human-divine relationship, setting the stage for the climactic moment when God himself responds to the inquiries and debates that have echoed through the verses of this ancient and profound text. God's response. As the theological debates within the Book of Job reach their zenith, the narrative takes a momentous turn with the entrance of the divine. God, who has observed the impassioned dialogues between Job and his friends, chooses to respond. His reply is not a conventional explanation of Job's suffering, but an awe-inspiring declaration of divine wisdom and power that unfolds amidst the tumultuous winds of a whirlwind. The divine response to Job emanates from the heart of the storm, a symbol of both cosmic power and the ineffable nature of God's ways. The whirlwind becomes a metaphorical stage for a cosmic dialogue, where the Creator addresses his questioning creation. God's choice to respond from a whirlwind underscores the magnitude and grandeur of his presence, invoking a sense of reverence and humility. God's message to Job takes the form of a series of rhetorical questions, each one a profound exploration of the intricacies of creation and the vastness of the universe. The questions cascade like cosmic echoes, challenging Job to fathom the mysteries of the natural world, from the depths of the sea to the heights of the heavens. the divine interrogation extends to the realms of celestial bodies, weather patterns, and the intricacies of the animal kingdom, emphasizing the unfathomable complexity woven into the fabric of existence. In posing these rhetorical questions, God's intention is not to provide a direct explanation for Job's suffering, but to assert the limitations of human understanding in the face of divine wisdom. The questions serve as a cosmic reminder that the Creator's perspective transcends the finite boundaries of mortal comprehension. God, in His infinite wisdom, orchestrates the cosmic dance of creation, and His ways are beyond the grasp of human reasoning. Job, confronted with the overwhelming majesty and grandeur of God's response, reacts with profound humility. The divine presence, expressed through the whirlwind and the weight of the rhetorical questions, evokes in Job a deep sense of awe and reverence. In this sacred encounter, Job's human frailty is laid bare, and he is compelled to acknowledge the vastness of God's wisdom. In response to the divine manifestation, Job humbles himself, recognizing the limits of his understanding and the audacity of questioning the divine order. He utters words that resonate with contrition and submission, expressing remorse for daring to question God's purposes. Job's humility becomes a pivotal moment in the narrative, a recognition that the mysteries of existence are beyond the grasp of human intellect. God's response, delivered with cosmic grandeur and poetic eloquence, serves as a profound resolution to the theological debates that have unfolded throughout the book. The whirlwind becomes a metaphorical threshold between the finite and the infinite, and God's message resonates through the ages as a testament to the incomprehensibility of divine wisdom. The encounter between God and Job transcends the boundaries of a mere theological dialogue. It becomes a sacred moment where the finite encounters the infinite, and the human spirit bows before the majesty of the Creator. The whirlwind, echoing with the resonance of divine questions, leaves Job in a state of awe and submission, forever transformed by the encounter with the one whose ways are beyond human understanding. Job's restoration. In the aftermath of the divine whirlwind and Job's humble acknowledgement of the limits of human understanding, the narrative pivots towards a resolution that reflects the mercy and benevolence of the Almighty. God, in His infinite wisdom, addresses not only Job but also the three friends Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, who, despite their well-intentioned attempts to explain the nature of Job's suffering, stand rebuked for their misguided explanations. God's rebuke serves as a clarion call for humility, a reminder that human attempts to comprehend the mysteries of divine providence are bound by inherent limitations. The three friends, chastened by the divine response, are instructed to make offerings for forgiveness, symbolizing the need for repentance and atonement in the face of their theological missteps. God's mercy, even in correction, underscores the transformative power of humility and the capacity for redemption. Job, however, receives a distinct set of instructions from the divine. Instead of retribution or further chastisement, God directs Job to pray for his friends. This act of intercession stands as a remarkable testament to the redemptive power of Job's humility and his newfound understanding of the complexities of divine justice. Job, once the object of theological scrutiny and human misjudgment, now assumes a role of compassion and mediation. The act of praying for his friends becomes a poignant moment of reconciliation, signaling not only Job's forgiveness but also a symbolic restoration of the bonds that were strained by the theological debates. It becomes a gesture that transcends personal vindication, embodying the transformative power of divine encounters in the realm of human relationships. God's response to Job's humility and intercession sets the stage for a remarkable and comprehensive restoration. The narrative unfolds with a twofold restoration of Job's fortunes. The wealth that had been lost in the tempest of suffering is replenished, and Job's material prosperity returns with abundance. The imagery of restored wealth becomes a tangible manifestation of divine favor and a symbolic affirmation of Job's resilience and enduring faith. Yet, the restoration extends beyond material abundance. In a testament to the cyclic nature of life, Job receives 7 sons and 3 daughters. The numerical symmetry echoes the completeness of God's redemptive act. The daughters, noted for their exceptional beauty, become more than mere symbols of prosperity. They embody the resilience of life, the beauty that can emerge from the ashes of suffering. Job, who had endured the tragic loss of his previous children, now witnesses the blossoming of a new family. The generational continuity becomes a profound symbol of hope and renewal. Job, having lived through the depths of despair, is granted the grace to see not only the restoration of his immediate family but the unfolding of 4 generations of descendants. The narrative arc, from loss to abundance, encapsulates the cyclical nature of life's journey. In the grand tapestry of Job's restoration, the narrative weaves themes of redemption, forgiveness, and the cyclical rhythms of life. The material and familial abundance bestowed upon Job become not only a manifestation of divine favor but also a metaphor for the transformative power of humility, forgiveness, and enduring faith in the face of inexplicable suffering. Job's story, from the depths of despair to the pinnacle of restoration, resonates as a timeless testament to the profound mysteries of divine providence and the resilience of the human spirit. Conclusion. The book of Job concludes with Job's final days, marked by old age and satisfaction. He dies, having lived a full and prosperous life, free from the suffering that marked his earlier years. The narrative concludes with a sense of restoration and divine justice. The book of Job remains a timeless exploration of the human experience, offering spiritual and philosophical insights into the complexities of faith, suffering, and the divine. Job is the man who lost everything he had, but he ended up being completely restored by God. Job's unwavering trust in the midst of profound trials continues to inspire and provoke contemplation on the nature of God and the human condition. Bless and be blessed. In the name of Jesus, amen.